What's up, YouTube? This is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. Today, I have a friend of mine who is not from the YB podcast, but a great friend of mine since middle school. His name is Aaron. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, hey, Red Devilosa. It's a pleasure.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
inviting me to this podcast. I was looking forward to this, talking about the Last of Us.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So before we get started, if you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can subscribe to my channel, Red Devilosa Reviews, for more of that content. So yeah, The Last of Us, 2013's Game of the Year. It was remastered the next year for the PS4. It was directed by Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann. It was written by Neil Druckmann. It stars Troy Baker as Joel Miller and Ashley Johnson as Ellie. So this is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. Aaron, how do you feel about The Last of Us in general?
and in general, I think it really played the whole zombie formula pretty well. Like
Yeah,
with all the games out there, like The Walking Dead or something. Like The Last of Us really is really unique in its own way. It's like tackles
yeah,
all the situations of
yeah. Like,
zombie apocalypse.
right. What I found really good about The Last of Us, like in this particular universe, is that it took like a concept, so it took an actual fungus that exists, the cordyceps.
Yeah,
It's an actual fungus that exists. It affects ants, or arthropods, and yeah, if you ever seen like a video of what it does, like it can actually affect the mind of the ants and then cause it to do stuff. It's similar to what, and then obviously in
like
the game, it's like mutated for humans to be affected in this concept. So that's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
really like. It brought some realism to the world, even though it's not realistic, I guess. But it felt like it could happen, ideally,
It,
which
it,
is what builds it in this universe.
yeah, yeah. It really could have happened in our world actually.
Yeah. So that's what really got me into the game in particular. Not only is there great characters, great voice acting, great narrative, it's also it's just like the cohesive narrative of the story. Like with it's just a simple. Well, it's not really simple though if you think about it. Like, yes, it has a zombie apocalypse, but we even get to
Yeah,
see the shittiness of people. Like
you
you
like
have
cannibals, you have
cannibals, you
mm,
have people in these like the Fireflies, and like all these other groups of
mm.
people uh that are
Even
people are just
even the thugs in the cities. There's just
thugs.
many
Yeah,
different types of people you see in a zombie apocalypse where they're just left to their own resources, and then it's
yeah,
it's really their own personality and how they treated the whole zombie apocalypse. So
yeah. So
mhm.
yeah, and I guess like since both of us really like the game, is there any particular negatives that you have? Because I feel like that would be like the shorter section. Is there any negatives that you
uh,
thought with this game?
when I was playing the game, as far as gameplay, I am yeah, the gameplay is a little
Monoton
repetitive.
Monotonous, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I said that as well.
Picking up
Like
ladders,
picking up the
dropping it
ladders,
here,
and then
pushing
like since
rafts.
since Ellie didn't
Like
know how to swim, you had to get a raft for
right,
her, and so yeah,
it's
it's like those are
like
like the little puzzles in the game that you had to do.
yeah,
It's not
but
really a puzzle, but yeah,
it's like after every map, it's like, hey, you gotta do this. You
yeah.
gotta go find this raft, go get this ladder. It's like
It was like pretty monotonous, but like I think like for me, even with all that, I still could go through with it because like the story's just so good.
oh yeah, definitely because
Especially the cutscenes and like all that. Everything like when it comes to Joel and his relationship with other people, uh, his relationship with Ellie, how it starts to blossom from just a kid that he has to transport from the East
yeah.
Coast to Utah, and then all of a sudden you get this father-daughter relationship, which is really good. But before we get into that,
Mhm.
let's just say, oh, and also I guess another negative I have, which isn't, it's not really the fault of the game. It's just like it's just like the enemy types. There wasn't really that much to go through. You have like the infected. Like sometimes the clickers could be
The clicker is
very
just one shot through. It makes sense. It's like their heads are literally like I don't even know how you would counter that, but yeah,
you just can't you can't run really. You can't like run. You have to like go like really quietly, and then hopefully, and then I think like you have to have a shiv because you can't like regular
whenever they attack you always have to have a shiv. Those actually help whenever you just want to just quickly kill somebody because you have to strangle everyone. Other than that, it's the same animation.
Right. You like the clickers. You can't punch them though. Like you have to. You have to shoot them or shiv them. And then this is more of like a nitpick, but like since like Ellie always had the pocket knife in her hand, and it's like you really need a shiv at this point, like unlock doors, but she won't give it to you. I mean that's her trademark. But like
that's actually kind of funny you say that because like later in the game when you're in like the winters part, she's like stabbing people in the back whenever you're like sneaking up from. I thought that was pretty cool though. It's like her own trademark. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I mean that was just one thing. Like sometimes you don't have a shiv and you need to take out a clicker and she won't give you the pocket knife and it's a little frustrating. But I mean,
that's not nitpicking really. I feel like but sometimes actually, you know how sometimes like they would give you like sort of like ammo or like med kits or something. It's like. It's those types of things. I mean, it's not like that's not a negative. I think I personally like that. Yeah. It's like, it's like, hey, this is nice. It's like they actually want you to like live. They actually want you to like do good. It's not like
And then like sometimes those rooms like that are locked and you need a shiv. Like they do give a lot of good ammo, good med kits, and Molotovs and all that. Yeah, so like a lot of the gameplay is just you have obviously it's like shooting all that with guns and crafting items like med kits, shivs, and Molotovs. Then you have like the listening mode where I guess like everything like you listen to everything and you can kind of map out where everybody is, which I don't know if it's super accurate to do that, but like with super hearing and all that, but it's really good. It was helpful, especially for those types of stealth scenes, especially.
Yeah, even in the beginning, it's really helpful just to know where the guys are like, shooting you from. It's like clickers where they're walking. It just planning your like plan of attack. It's just the best way to do it. I mean,
like one thing I like about like in this game in particular, since I did get to play the sequel and I'll save the sequel for a different video, but like the side characters, you have Tess, you have Bill, obviously you have Ellie. They're like Henry and Sam. Like they're all so compelling as characters. Like even though they're not the main characters, like you still give a shit about them, if that makes sense. What I don't like about one of the things I don't like about The Last of Us Part 2 is like there's a lot of side characters that I don't care about. And then also when you have like NPCs especially Tess, Bill, and Ellie, like they'd actually like if someone was behind you, they'll yell it and then you can like react to that, and then they would also help by shooting people around you.
Wait,
like when yeah.
You mean Joel? wait. When you say Bill, do you mean
Bill was the guy who set traps. I think he was in I think he was in Boston or Philadelphia.
Oh, right. I remember.
Yeah. He had the long hair. You had to go and get the car from him.
The car.
That was Bill.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It has been a while, but like yeah. So, and you do remember Tess, right?
Yes. She was in the beginning with Joel. Yeah.
And then they find Ellie.
And then
So like when you have like in part 2 you have Dina, and Dina is like completely useless, and then she's pregnant, and then
Anyways, we should probably not.
We should
Yeah,
probably move on from that.
probably not
But
talk
yeah,
more about. But I mean, as far as negatives though, like I don't think there's anything
but that's
else
not a
that
negative. I guess I was moving
negative.
on from the negatives, but yeah,
Right,
because
right.
like
So
all the
yeah,
side characters were very compelling. Like you have Sam and Henry. Obviously, like Joel was very hesitant with introducing two new people into their group because obviously Joel. Actually, why don't we go from the beginning?
well, how about yeah? Let's just start from the beginning of like the
Start from the
story
beginning.
wise. I
So
feel like yeah,
I
we'll
guess
talk about
here's a big question though. Did you cry at any point of this game?
yes, of course I did. It was like I was like
I'd say
on
twice for me, and I got
Mhm.
emotional at two other scenes. The two times for me was the very beginning with Sarah,
Yeah,
Joel's
yeah,
daughter,
that's fun.
where it's Joel's birthday.
Mhm.
Sarah is his innocent daughter, and they learn that on Joel's birthday that there's this outbreak and people are turning into zombies, and they
Right.
get to a point where Sarah is crippled and she can't walk, so Joel has to carry her, and then they make it out to the field, and then someone
Mhm.
from the military find them, but he's
Right.
given orders to shoot them. He does open fire, and Sarah gets killed, unfortunately, by a stray bullet, and I could not
Yeah,
control
it,
myself.
like it built it up. I didn't even know that she was not going to be the main character. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
But
Because
I was already building attachment to her,
some people thought that that was like supposed to be Ellie. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, oh, that's unfortunate. Well, what was the parts that you want to mention?
yeah. And then the other one was when Ellie was Ellie and that cannibal David, who was voiced by Nolan North.
Oh, yeah,
And like there was like this skirmish in the restaurant, and then all of a sudden he starts bashing his head with a machete, uh, and then Joel comes in and just stops her from continuing the kill, and
yeah.
he
That
just
part, yeah,
tried.
that part was emotional too. She really like her
Yeah,
character there was like really like showing she did not want to be pushed around anymore. It's like
yeah,
that was it,
that was
and
really good. And then
it was really
it,
gruesome.
it got me
So
there, and then
yeah.
obviously the ending. I didn't cry at that part, but I did get emotional at the ending with Joel saving her, and
Mhm.
we'll come back to the ending in particular. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but from the beginning,
From the beginning.
uh, Sarah, like you didn't even know her for like 10 minutes, and
Exactly.
it hit me in the gut, like,
It's just
and
like a
that's when I
truck.
knew, like, shit, this game's gonna be, this game is gonna get me
Get
throughout
you
the
in the
duration.
feels. You hit you
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah. So there's that, and then the game fast forwards 20 years into the after that event. Joel moves to Boston, and
Yeah.
now he's very jaded as a character. Like he's very cynical for pretty much everything. Like
The whole like
if they say like
oh,
there's this other guy that we have to meet, he was always skeptical about, is this person going to be good or not, and
hmm.
then
I
like
think
you
I think
yeah
throughout the way, like it seems like Tess has been with like Joel for a while too.
I
Because
think yeah
they were like talking about like future plans or something. They were like friendly terms. Even
right
like and considering Joel's personality, I don't think it would be easy to like get on his
right
good side. So I think they've been
right,
through a
and you
lot.
see how long it took him to trust Ellie
Exactly. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the game. Yeah, Joel Joel is personally one of my favorite protagonists in a video game. Like in that list, I have Nathan Drake from Uncharted. I have Kratos from God of War.
Right. Right.
Uh, these are some of the great protagonists in video games. Joel, just a cynical badass who pretty much loses faith in a lot of things. He even tells Ellie at one point, like when they're going through a town and this guy's pretending to be injured, and then all of a sudden he just gets up to shoot them, and then he says people do that all the time. Like
Right.
they pretend to be injured just to steal from people who are willing to help, and this
Actually,
is
yeah,
in a world
that's
where
Yeah,
where
at that
people
scene,
are,
he was just like Ellie, no, I just floors it. Like he just
yeah,
completely annihilates the dude, and then they just
yeah,
get hit by a truck. That was a little cool actually.
yeah. So like, it just goes to show you that in this world now, like 20 years down the line, you just can't trust anybody, even if they're people that are not infected. Like, because you don't know if they're just there to
Yeah,
manipulate you,
exactly.
just to kill you, or like you just can't trust anybody in this world.
Yeah, even the fireflies. I mean,
Yeah, even the fireflies, and
yeah, but I think my favorite one was the one with like Henry and Sam, just because like when like was it Sam, right, who got bit?
yeah,
Yeah, like it was just like a small like part of the game that I was like really thinking about. It's like, what if like the kids actually get sick, and then there's like what would the consequence be of like
right.
how he would react? And clearly, you saw what happened with Henry,
Henry,
and
being his older brother, seeing his
exactly,
younger brother getting infected, and then he just had to kill
yeah,
him, and then
yeah, the whole
fuck,
like
that
the
scene
whole thought
also got me
process
pretty emotional too. It
of
just
like, yeah, it's like,
uh,
why aren't you scared? Like,
before
I
before
remember,
he dies, he blames Joel for letting this happen, and then he kills
yeah,
himself, which
hmm
is all types of gut punching as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
The whole scene where it's like him, like Sam, just talking to like Ellie, and like he gives her like, oh no, sorry, she gives him the like toy that he was looking at
yeah,
from like the store. She's like, oh yeah, this was for you. I thought you'd like it, but it just turns out like his mental just like went to the
he's starting to
180.
lose it at that
He
point. Yeah,
just started losing it. It was, yeah, that part got me too. Mhm.
yeah. Fuck.
Well,
And what I really like about the game too is that even with all this dark and cynical world, there's
mhm,
still like moments of hope throughout the movie. Like you see moments like where Ellie and Sam are just being kids in this world.
right,
Like even though they've like Ellie lost both of her parents at a young age, she had to be taken care of by Marlene, and then
yeah,
she's given like Joel. I mean, she's given to Joel. She loses Tess. She loses Sam and Henry. A
hmm
lot of, and then if you've ever played the DLC, she loses her best friend Riley uh, in
I
that
think
too.
that
So
was that was like hinted like at the end of the
it was
game
hinted
where
at
it's
the end.
like
Yeah,
she was like, I'm ready to like, just go
yeah,
whenever, whatever happens. Yeah. But
yeah. So she has lost a lot in her life at such a young age. But even through moments like the moments of being a kid and just like enjoying like spending time with Sam. Uh,
mhm.
and then also like the giraffe scene is such a powerful moment in
Oh
the
yeah.
game. Uh, the giraffe scene, just to symbolize, but it just symbolizes that like even in
Like
this
hope.
dark world that's full of shit and full of like corrupted people, there's still hope in this world,
Yeah.
which is what makes what makes the game so good. It's just
Mhm.
even when all this is going wrong, we can still find a
Like
way that like
peace.
we can still find peace in this world,
Mhm.
which is what I love the giraffe scene. And
The
and
giraffe scene where Ellie just drops the ladder on Joel. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna go.
I'm just gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna head out right now. No, but yeah,
yeah,
that's funny. I was like, dang, she really does not feel it right now. That part of the
yeah,
game.
right.
But anyways,
And yeah, and just we did talk about a little bit about Joel.
mhm.
Ellie. I mean, Ellie's like I think 14 years old, but
She's
she's
like,
such a badass as a 14-year-old. Like she takes no shit from anybody. She's not
yeah,
like a damsel in distress. Like she'll take care of herself. There's like a section in the game where Joel gets injured, uh, and then Ellie has to go and find
like
like
meds.
supplies and medical stuff for Joel. And you get to play as Ellie briefly in the game, and it was a fun like dynamic like change between Joel and Ellie. They both have different play styles. Like Ellie is a little bit more like she's
I
like better
mean,
at like using the bow and arrow and stuff like that, and then obviously the
yo,
knife.
yeah, yeah. I mean that part when they went to that when they went to visit like the Fireflies and they were just all gone, deserted, and that fight with like Joel and like him falling onto that like actual spike that like almost killed him. It's like, oh, is he gonna die? Is this like is it how he died? Because he was like fading out like as he's trying to shoot. I think I remember that scene.
Right.
But it just gave me vibes of like, oh, I think he's gonna just this is it for him. Like in the Lee situation, Walking Dead, he just like
right.
left. But anyways, yeah.
Because he fell in that spike. I was like, I didn't think like it was gonna end like that, but like I was like, you know, I was invested in Joel at that point. It's like, God damn, is this it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because like obviously, like I wasn't, even though I've played the game last year, I was never spoiled about the game at all. So that's pretty good on my part since it's been out for
pretty hard actually. Yeah, I know.
It's been out for 7 years. Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, and
so what do you think about like? Oh, sorry. What are you saying?
Yeah, and then like when Ellie confronts David, the cannibal, the lead cannibal, and then they get in this chase, and all of a sudden Ellie has to kill David, and then once she does, you have that scene with her and Joel after all she's went through.
Yeah,
it's just that was like a really, really dark, like a very low point for Ellie at that point. She already lost a lot of people in this game, and then she like gets threatened to be eaten alive by David.
I mean, all the cannibals there, yeah.
All the cannibals, yeah. And then all of a sudden you see Joel, and the one person who has been constant so far in the game, who has been there for her so far, and he hasn't died at this point. So that's just the one thing that she has to latch on to, and it's just the dynamic is so good all together. What were you saying?
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say like, what did you like? What kind of difficulty did you play on in this game?
I first played it. I played it twice. I played it first on medium just to go through the story. And then I played it on hard. I didn't go very hard. I think Survivor.
Survivor was like the hardest, but man, I think the difficulty in this game is like it really like shows because like just the amount of like scraps and like ammo you get. And like the difference in difficulty is really hard.
You really got to save every bullet you can.
Right.
If you could take them out with a shiv or like just strangle them, just you have to find a way how to like really minimize your resources. Otherwise, you'll have a very hard time going through the area. So
I can remember just going into like all these battles, just like 2 ammo or like 5 ammo. It's like you get nothing basically. But
and I thought like the humans, like whenever you fight humans in particular, since like they can actually see you and they're more reactionary since they're not dulled by their senses as a zombie. The humans, especially in the harder difficulties, get pretty difficult. That sniper scene was very annoying.
Oh, the sniper scene.
And then the guy like constantly trash talks, and then obviously like they recycle the dialogue when you don't make it all the way. So
I do that like 2 or 3 times on like the hard difficulty. I was just like, oh my god, let me finish this. But I think is the funny thing was actually if you looked at it, I don't think it was an actual guy in it. This was a little thing that I saw. I was like, oh, there's no guy actually up there. But anyways, just the audio playing.
That was annoying, but like that especially in the hard difficulty, it was pretty annoying.
Yeah, but you actually got to shoot the sniper. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Shooting a sniper. As far as the game though, you don't really get that much like resources to begin with. I know you can open every single drawer and like do everything that you could possibly do, but you get like 1 or 2 like gears. And then you can only upgrade like a certain amount of like weapons that you really want. But which weapon did you actually upgrade yourself?
Let's see. I upgraded the flamethrower.
The flamethrower.
And
of all things, the flamethrower.
I don't know. It was fun though using it.
Yeah, I think for me,
I
for the
forgot some of
shotgun,
I would use the shotgun
shotgun or the hunting rifle.
and the rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty good like guns when I think
Yeah.
about it.
Because like for me, the bow and arrow, I never really got the physics of it down.
It was
You
a little clunky, but once you, it's
yeah,
like it's one shot as long as you hit them.
as long as you hit them.
But is
Yeah.
it me or was the controllers on like PS4 and PS3 is like the sensitivity is like nuts, and then you can't even like aim
Yeah.
properly. Like
Especially with the bow and arrow.
like I've played a lot of like like okay, I'm not actually that type of like FPS gamer. So just so you're aware, but like and so everyone is aware. I mean, like I'm not really into that, but yeah, coming from you, it was really it was really a
Yeah,
challenge, right?
it took some time. Eventually, I got over it, but like again, it took a few deaths to get it right. But yeah,
It was definitely not an escort mission like Assassin's Creed, right? Anyways,
yeah, right.
so, that's funny.
Yeah. So let's see.
Oh yeah,
You also have Tommy as well, Joel's younger brother.
right,
Um,
Tommy.
yeah. So we learned that after the death of Sarah, actually not right after, like a few years after Sarah's
Mhm.
death, eventually they get a falling out and all that, and like I can't really remember what the reason was.
I think the reason was like he went to like the Fireflies, Tommy, and
Oh, right.
Joel just wanted to like lay low and just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
stay away from all that, but he just got dragged in, obviously,
right.
and that almost caused Tommy and his relationship with I think Maria maybe
I think it was Maria. Yeah.
maybe I forgot, but yeah, it's him and her like there was almost like a separation of them or like an implication that they were going through rough times, but I don't think they were going to get separated after
No,
all.
but
So
then when
yeah,
they eventually do make it to the camp where Tommy reaches, and you just see like they both hug each other and all that. Like obviously, like even though
yeah.
they've had their differences, they just got to realize that you got to have as much relationship as you can in this world.
Oh, and that part too. There was actually like a sort of like I don't think at that part, Joel was like he was a little skeptical still about Ellie because
Yeah,
I remember a scene where Ellie was like overhearing that Tommy was going to take her over to just go to the Fireflies, but then
yeah, yeah,
he immediately just like books it, takes the horse, and just like runs off to like the house and stuff. And then
yeah.
this is the part where Joel really like
That
he's like,
conversation.
hey, like yeah, that conversation is like, hey, you're not my daughter,
You're
exactly.
not my daughter. You don't understand laws. And well, obviously at that point, Ellie did not know what to say, and then she was able to say it later that she didn't
But
understand. But yeah,
yeah,
even after all that, all they've been through at that point, Sam and Henry, and everything, Tess and all that. Even up until that point, he still didn't realize that Ellie
was that important to him,
was
pretty
that
much.
important at that point.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think.
that was oh my god, like it's just
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it. It's
yeah,
pretty emotional. Like it's
yeah.
a
So
father daughter situation.
father daughter and all that. And
Actually,
I
my
yeah.
biggest question for you is: do you think at the end, do you think that was the best choice that
Yeah.
Joel should have made?
So I have one more thing before I get to the ending.
Okay, okay,
So
yeah, yeah, got you.
yeah, so you get to the point where they reach to Salt Lake City, and
Mhm,
Ellie gives Joel like she said she stole the photograph from Maria,
mhm.
saying like it was the photo of him and Sarah like playing soccer or something like that, and that almost got me too. Just after
Yeah, oh
everything,
yeah, the photo.
the photo, like getting the
Mhm.
photo from Ellie. So that was really good. And now let's get to the ending. And
Yeah, I mean,
the
well, I mean,
ending,
just oh yeah, sorry. No, I was just gonna piggyback on what you were saying. Like,
yeah, yeah.
just
Go
my
ahead.
part. Like, it was just interesting how it was like, oh, this is Tommy. Tommy got it actually first, and it was like, hey, this is. I know you might have wanted this, but Joel was just like no, at
Yeah,
first, but then when Ellie offered it, he was just like, man, I guess like the past, yeah, it's like the past is this. I can't run away from my past. Basically, is what Joel was saying.
It's just
And
that was really good. That was really good too.
and
It wasn't
before
a
we get to
cutscene. It was just it was in
yeah,
game.
yeah, exactly. But before we get to the end game too, I think I want to point out how it's like every like dialogue option you get in the game for like each person is like it's like you don't actually have to do them. You can actually just skip them completely.
Yeah,
But like you know how they're like talking about yeah, yeah.
it was like I want to hear as much dialogue as I can. Like
exactly. But then if you just walk away, they're just like, oh, you know what, forget it.
Yeah, it might come
I
back.
think it really builds like the whole atmosphere. It was like Sam and Ellie talking about like the ice cream truck. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
is this actually like before times? Like, was this actually a thing that people used to have? It's like, yeah, it was there, and then Joel would just be there. So it's just really nice to see like more
yeah. Like
interactions. Like
a lot of the things, like him describing Jurassic Park as a movie, and like
yeah,
like just like you just hear like stuff that we know is like very common in our world, but like this is 20 years in the future, so and everything like pretty much businesses are gone, like pretty much everything is gone at this point.
right.
So like when you have memories of the past and bringing them to now, they're not like they'll just seem like foreign concepts to the kids who didn't get to grow up like that. So
Yeah, it was definitely
ice cream truck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The ice cream truck scene, and there was a few more, but I'd rather. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to recall all of them because it was like small ones.
Yeah. So those are good. Also, like I guess with the infected, each of them had like their own way of taking them out. You have like runners, stalkers, clickers, bloaters. The bloaters were pretty. Bloaters, you had to give up as much firepower as you could.
Oh yeah, you mean the flamethrower firepower? Yeah,
flamethrower,
exactly
Molotov.
that. Molotovs, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes like they would be frustrating as well.
I think the whole game, I would try to be sorry. Sorry to cut you off, but I would try to be like as stealthy as possible.
Right.
But then sometimes I'm just like, I just feel like blowing like crap up. I'm just come on, give it at me. So,
yeah,
that sort of plays out.
And like again, like what I like about this game a lot is that even though it has the zombies, it's not really a zombie game. It's more of a apocalypse type of situation that it features zombies. Like you still focus on the dichotomy between the people that are still alive, that are survivors, like which we'll get a little bit more into when we get towards the ending, and then also the zombies included.
Right.
So that's not really, yes, it's a zombie game, but it's more of an apocalypse dealing with zombies and people, where the people really where all the conflict comes from is from the people that are still alive. And
right.
so yeah, that's what makes this game very, very special. I mean, like I've never really played too many zombie games before. Like at least like that, but like I feel like what I've heard from other YouTubers saying that the zombie game was kind of like getting old, if that makes sense. Like
the whole formula was getting
the formula for zombie games
getting really predictable.
Yeah, so this was like a fresh change to
exactly
like from 2013. So yeah, So why don't we get to the ending? So Ellie is taken to the Fireflies in the hospital, and they sedate her, and they're getting ready to do an operation on her. And this turns out that like Ellie,
I think it was Ellie,
Ellie would have to die from the procedure because like so I guess we never really explained it. Ellie is a person who has some type of mutation in her blood that allows her to not get infected by the infected people. So like even if they bite her or like touch her or scratch her or whatever, or if she goes through spores, She cannot be infected at all.
Yeah, I believe it was like said in the game. It was like through recordings how some
Yeah,
part of her like actual like I don't know cerebral cortex or something was like it mutated, so it didn't actually like
she
keep
cannot get sick.
going. Yeah, it didn't actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
and here's the thing is, this is like obviously this is the most divisive part of the game is Joel's decision. After everything he's went through, Joel has the choice if he wants to leave and never come back and see Ellie, or take Ellie with him, but the vaccine will never be there. So obviously this is very divisive for a lot of people because like for me, I was always pro whatever Joel did.
Right, right.
Because obviously, like first off, this is a fungus, so fungus cannot. There's no such thing as a vaccine for fungus, and this is a fictional world. So, like, let's say that is possible, but let's say the vaccine does happen. Do you really think the Fireflies will distribute it to every person on Earth now? I
It's
don't think
more
so.
of like yeah, they're not
Like,
gonna just
like I don't think they would. I don't think they would distribute it to everybody. So I think they would save it
start
for themselves, and like they'll use it. They could actually use it as a leverage for them
smart.
over other clans of people. And plus, like even if you vaccinate like everybody, you still have to deal with the infected people uh, because I'm sure you
Yeah,
can't
like
just go up to them and inject them too. Like you're gonna have to
I
kill
feel like
everybody.
people would be really skeptical for it as well because it's like there's the
Yeah,
news wouldn't be able to like broadcast. Oh, this is safe. You know, this is like
yeah,
come here for your serum. I mean, they
and
have radios and stuff, but like
obviously like this time with coronavirus, it's kind of a touchy subject right now, talking about
yeah.
vaccinations
Anyways,
and all that. But like, but going off that,
yeah,
uh, it's just like I don't really believe that. I don't believe that like the vaccine would would solve all the problems that the world is facing here. And
it's
the other thing that was also said, you mentioned a recording.
right, right.
There was a recording that Joel was listening to as he was sneaking through the hospital to get Ellie. One of the recordings stated that they've tried this method on 12 different kids who had the exact same gift, is what they called it. They had the same ability like Ellie, but they all were killed in the process. So I don't understand why
It's
they feel like Ellie is the special exception to this thing. So even if, and that comes to my problems with The Last of Us Part 2 as well, but again, that's a different video. But like, again, they give you a reason to believe that 12 people have died from this thing. So
mhm,
why will Ellie be the one that's fine? So
right.
that doesn't make any sense. And so yeah,
It,
and
yeah.
right, what were you
No,
saying?
no, no. It was like, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it was really like implied that like she was the one. Like Marlene was making it out to be like there's no one else like her, but like
Right,
you end up finding out that she's not the only one. There was like other people
many
like her,
others like her. Yeah,
but it was getting constantly like hidden from like Joel. So I think Joel as a character kind of well he did realize it after all reading like hearing it, but like
yeah,
it was
and I had a hard time with the sequel with how Joel dealt that situation when Ellie found out. But again, that's still a
mm,
different video. But yeah. So you have all that, and then
mhm,
people are saying, "Well, this is Joel. Joel made an evil decision." The thing is, Joel is a survivor. Everybody in
mhm,
this world is a survivor. I don't think anybody is good. I don't think anybody is bad. Um,
right.
it's just like based on the world that we have right now, in this world that we're presented with, everybody has their own choice and everybody has their own way in how they want to survive.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
I don't think like his decision for letting Ellie live, but then there's no vaccine. I don't think there's any sort of way to say that it was an evil decision on Joel's part.
It's yeah, I've like I mean, not to mention like the whole like elephant in the room, but like it was because like his daughter Sarah died. He didn't want to lose another like
Yeah,
almost daughter
obviously.
to him, you know? Like,
Right.
obviously, he didn't want to lose her. So I feel like that's like the bigger driving factor in here. It's like greater good or Ellie. I feel like, and if
Yeah.
you were to choose, it would be the latter. So
Yeah. So he basically goes through the whole hospital, killing as many fireflies as he can. That was a pretty difficult.
pretty badass. I mean, like
It was badass, but it was
the whole
pretty hard,
scene.
especially on the hard difficulty, like going through all
Yeah.
those fireflies and
Oh right.
using up
Yeah,
your ammo and trying to
smoke
take out
bombs.
the people.
No,
Smoke
I think that was the hardest because they
Yeah,
literally had like
because
that gun that
they're
like
also humans, so they're reactionary to the your movement and your
no,
all.
definitely, yeah.
So that was a pretty difficult scene to go through, and especially since it's confined in a hospital, so it's going to be there's not enough space to move around and hide and all that. So
I think
yeah,
it was.
it
I
took
think
a
it was
bit.
at this part where it's like you really had to use like okay, it's either you kill them or you die, or you actually could sneak past them using like smoke bombs and
Yeah,
like other techniques like holding them like as hostage and like holding them at gunpoint.
yeah,
Really
there
like
was a lot of creative freedom of what you want to do in the
yeah,
situation. You could like smoke everyone out, or you can just sneak past everybody. Again, it will take some time to do that, but yeah, it was a fun level to play.
yeah, definitely really fun. Just just to kill the fireflies. But I mean,
Yeah, and and like in the when you get to the operating room, Joel kills the doctors. Like, you pretty much just have to kill that one doctor
just the one. Yeah, it was just one.
who gets retconned later. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So he gets retconned. Yeah. So you have that, and he takes Ellie and makes it across. The music in this game is fantastic. It was done by Gustavo Santaolalla. I think I
The
pronounced
music.
the music.
Yeah,
It was so good throughout the game, but like in this particular moment where he is rescuing Ellie and trying to get her to the elevator,
like walking
the
slowly
music
and all that.
is so good. I don't see too many reviewers talking about the music, and I feel like
No,
it
and
was a
definitely like the music in game really like it really adds a touch to the whole like atmosphere and just the just the feeling of it. Like I like getting invested in the game and actually like it like feels like this is the right moment where it's like this should
right.
happen. Like the whole music playing and Ellie was getting carried. But
Yeah. So they do go down the elevator, and Joel is confronted by Marlene. Joel does shoot Marlene. Um,
that
and
was yeah,
she's trying to
that
ask
was
him to spare his
questionable.
life. Like, so it's like, yeah,
That was questionable.
so it's like, no, just let me live. But then he's like, you're just gonna keep following us all the time, and then he
Yeah,
shoots him
and then
in the head.
bam, just
Yeah, so
it's pretty badass. But
it was badass. It is still questionable, I guess, but like again, I do understand Joel's intention. It's just Marlene will never leave him alone at that
right,
point, because again, Ellie still has the cure in her head, hypothetically. Um, but yeah, so you have that, and then you have the final scene with Ellie and Joel talking together.
it was
I
really
like how it was ambiguous with how, like, Ellie talks about the hospital. Well, first she says like how she has suffered a lot of loss. Like, again, her friend Riley
yeah.
died. They both wanted to go crazy, becoming infected together, but it turned out that Riley got only Riley turned, and Ellie never did. So so you have all that. Then she talks about everything she's lost in her life, and then she gets to the point where, like, she's asking him what happened at the hospital, uh, and then Joel just basically is like, there was no cure, and all that,
I think I'm
and then
looking forward.
like, don't lie to me,
Yeah,
and then he's like, I'm not, and then okay, like, it's just the facial expressions, the way she
yeah,
said it, okay, is like, it just made me feel like it's like maybe she understood that he was lying, but she could kind of understand like
right,
what.
right.
And obviously this all get retconned in the next game, but again,
Yeah, I'm kind of like, well, because I haven't played the game yet. I'm like, I'm more looking forward to like just seeing what the actual like aftermath of the whole. Oh, I lied to you, but you don't really know that. I mean, does she actually figure it out eventually? I mean, I feel like she kind of knew already when we told her, but she just kind of like shrugged it off because at that point she kind of knew his reasons and his like whole motive behind saving her. And I just think like it's pretty like genius how it's like just whole scene where he's saving her.
Yeah, and then that's where the game ends. So yeah, this game was spectacular on a lot of levels. The graphics for a PS3 game, it looked really good.
Oh, right.
And then when it got remastered, it still looks pretty good as a PS4 game. Not the best PS4 game, but like obviously because things have gotten better.
It's definitely not like a Tomb Raider level.
Yeah.
It still looked pretty good.
Yeah, graphics.
The whole winter scenes. The whole like. As much as I hated it, like the sewer scenes, I purged from my memory. It's just so like, it's so disgusting. It's like all this dark and we haven't really touched on that whole scene. How it's like, and the bugs in the game. You know how sometimes Ellie would run around and then run around and she would just go around the clickers. It's like, wow, how is that happening? I move slightly next to the clicker and then you're dead.
I did have a glitch. I will include the clip where like Ellie is like walking and then all of a sudden she's walking in the sky, or like not in the sky, but like she's walking like above like Joel. So. Overall, it didn't. I mean, bugs will happen. That's usually a common thing. Yeah. So graphics, story, characters, the music, the sound, like the clicker sound, bro. It's like it's so creepy, and like the way they click. It's really and
at first you're just
yeah. What are you saying?
At first you just presented with regular and zombies. The clickers are just like the way they introduced the whole like zombies one by one. I think it was decent. Like it's like, oh, you have to be more stealthy. It's like these are special mobs. I think they did a good job of like tutorial wise. Like it's like just how to play the game in general.
Yeah, so obviously.
Overall it's pretty good.
Yeah. And then also the voice acting, the pacing of the story. I think like it's just everything is like top notch here. There was like obviously like our problems, like we both agreed that it was a bit repetitive of like how much things like would tend to repeat scene by scene. But again, for me, like I like, even though I still felt it, like I still, because of like how the story was going and how all the characters, like I literally try to stop as much as I can just to hear these characters talk. Like
right, exactly.
Like if there was ever a speech moment, I'd stop and listen. It kept me invested in everything that they were doing. And
it's really easy to just like put yourself in the world. I think even though we said it was all monotonous, like in a real like the situation where you're actually doing that, it's gonna be a lot of monotonous work either way. It's like they really put you in the mindset that like you're gonna have to actually put all these ladders, do all these things because it's necessary. And
then like whenever you're in a room of zombies, you gotta figure out how to take them out without either getting spotted by regular runners or getting hurt by the clickers. So yeah, so they did a lot to build, like obviously like the monotonous story. I mean, like not story, like more gameplay.
Gameplay, yeah.
It still feels like that is something that you would do in real life if this were to happen. So yeah,
right.
Overall, The Last of Us is I do think it's one of the greatest games ever. Obviously, I've never played every single video game ever. But,
right. I mean, like
but like I do think it's worthy to be up there.
Yeah, I rated it pretty high, like at least a 9 out of 10. Like at the time, it was a pretty good game. I mean, even now, it's aged pretty well. Like you can still go back to it and still play it. I feel like
it's
not like a COD game or something where it's like it just feels weird. But yeah.
Right. So that's our review of The Last of Us. Both of us rank it very high in terms of the quality of the story, the gameplay, the characters, voice acting, music, lots of good in this game. Troy Baker as Joel Miller was fantastic. Joel is one of my favorite protagonists in video games. So yeah,
It's definitely up there as well too.
I will talk about The Last of Us Part 2. That will be in a separate video. I do have a lot to say about that, but again, that's a video for another day. So thanks, Aaron, for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. It's good
problem.
to see you.
It's a pleasure being on this.
After all this time.
Yes. It's a pleasure
Yeah.
seeing you as well.
Once again, if you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can subscribe to my channel, Red 00 Reviews, for more of that content. And I will see you later. Peace.